Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Matter of fact, disclaimer, which I've got to start, doing that a little bit more. I've been slipping up with that, as far as like disclaiming, like, hey, take what resonate with you from this video, leave what don't. You know what I'm saying? If the video don't resonate with you from jump, then there's no need to even watch it and comment on it. But of course, feel free to kind of just me having to make sure I'm balanced to not even pay attention to the bullshit and the trolling. But matter of fact, shout out to Ram Hotel on the 13 Astrology channel. Shout out to Dolo the pilot man, the flight boss, Archangel Uriel. You know, and matter of fact, like I have spoken of before, a mixture of me presenting information, be accumulation of like information from DMT trips and from my own external gnosis, or sitting down, like one of my things to do a lot of times, sit down with a piece of black obsidian and just quietly, sit down quiet, probably more so in those witching hours, in that 12 o'clock to like 4 o'clock range, and just sitting quietly, but asking questions like, hey, is the book of Enoch, that part where they speak on this, is that really, I just throw out any little example, but uh, connecting with inner gnosis, doing lectures, reading, is accumulation of all that. So a lot of times, and I'm speaking on it because this information I'm speaking on is a mixture of all of those, but definitely, and matter of fact, that's my duties too. I realize again, like as that quote unquote that Papa Legba energy, that person that's in between realms and also the door opener, the messenger of the gods. In essence, you gotta call on Papa Legba before you wanna, get introduced to any energy, you know what I'm saying? And that's that, the way I deal with videos and stuff like that. And why again, like somebody could say that, oh, that's the trickster energy, or why it's been called that energy, because it's in between polarities. How you got the polar energy of fire, water, you know uh air and earth, you know what I'm saying? But that Papa Legba energy is the messenger between all, you know what I'm saying? Well, fire and water might be beefing, naturally, not say beefing on no egotistical human level, but just those energies, just not the same. And that Papa Legba energy come to create that little connection, that messenger in between. But want to get into the Ophiuchus energies and I said Ophiuchus energies, but speaking on Ophiuchus a little deeper, I did a video in the past, and matter of fact, like even with the video in the past I did, so uh, another disclaimer, not gonna spoon feed all of the information, like I'm gonna speak on, the energy of what I just came across recently. And the rest is up to you researching, doing your own due diligence. Because I know it's paradoxical to be clear, cognizant, and kind of have a certain type of knowing, but then still doing research. And it's a balance too of like, like yeah, there's some level of research that we probably meant to do in certain areas, but then there's a certain level of, not, like you don't want to be overly trying to fact check yourself, because then it's going to kind of lower your confidence in your psychic abilities, or in your quote unquote clear cognizant abilities, which clear cognizant just means clear knowing, like you just kind of know without nobody having to tell you, like, like certain things that, say for instance, I came across in certain lectures from Bobby Hemmett, Bro C. Freeman there, Dr. Phil Valentine, all these different, elders. Like, I was walking around, feeling like, feeling the energy of some of these things in these lectures before I even knew what these words were and to even put a name to it, so here it is where, you know, uh, having the clear knowing and trusting that inner guidance, you know, because again, within my own past, seeing how much I knew, you know, before I even got to seeing the knowledge about it. But just get into this Ophiuchus energy. And I remember when I first did that other video, kind of always having that vibe of like realizing, you know, not to be like, oh, everybody Ophiuchus right now, you know what I'm saying? You have to consider it, you know, because another thing too, I realized how you know, learning how to deal with our ability, so on a clear cognizant level, but more so on our ability to peep into the future, where we may peep into a future aspect, but then kind of bunker down on it as if it's fully happening right now. You know, like I think of a vibe, like say for instance, you might peep into the future and see like that later down the line, there's gonna be a you know, a flood and a lot of rain, but you know, instead of kind of realizing it for what it is, as you know, this coming, you know, in the future, and you know, we talking about it now on some level, you know, dealing with it in preparation, but you know, now is the vibrate, like we deal with now, and now it builds into our future. So we dealing with now to go into the future, and we're also dealing with now, you know, fixing past aspects. But like, you know, it's like sitting in a boat or investing in water gear, or like, you know, or say for instance, like wearing a rain jacket every day of your life. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of rain or flood that you won't even possibly see in your lifetime. You know, in your physical lifetime in this plane of existence. You know, so also just being aware of that when we tapping into certain aspects of, you know, future events. You know, because matter of fact, realizing it when I, you know, again underneath what of me coming across that information, I knew like, all right, this not necessarily fully in place right now, but this is something, again, kind of like ringing that bell, like, hey, this is something that y'all might want to start even, you know, getting used to dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Now I may have been a little trigger happy on feeling like, oh yeah, you know, sign changes, you know, like if you're Capricorn, you know, you're really a Sagittarius and all this. You know, as a matter of fact, that's why I'm so fluid, you know, right now, and, you know, like realizing like, well, you know, I was in the right direction, but uh again, kind of in that futuristic jumping the gun type of vibe, you know, and realizing again, you know, now and again, not that I was completely off with the information, but again, another thing too is like no wrong or right in that situation, and that's where the problems come in. That is like where, you know, where people getting into like sidereal astrology and Western astrology, which one right, which one wrong, you know. It's like just understanding the different interpretations and not trying to find one is right and another is wrong, but just understanding the differences in the two. You know what they're pointing to, what the implications, you know, and also, you know, just beforehand, you know, all these different stories, you know, basically as above, so below. The energies from the higher dimensions, you know, play out later. You know, just like things may happen where you and another person oversoul, or you know, your higher self then already had a little conversation, but then it comes like days later for y'all in the physical realm to meet up and connect on this energy. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, you know, where the Orion wars and these battles, you know, in the higher dimensions, or in the you know, Star Wars, basically. It is happening and have happened on so many levels, and we're playing it out on a physical plane right now, you know. But you know, I'm gonna go get in a little more into that. And again, go check out my two older Ophiuchus videos too, to kind of catch a vibe. But Ophiuchus is known as the snake bearer. It's the I kind of did my little, got my drawing on. It's the snake bearer. Matter of fact, in between Scorpio and I ain't draw of Sagittarius. Scorpio got the, I think that's the celestial right there. Different stars. Matter of fact, that is Ras. They say that Ras Al Hag, meaning the, Ras meaning head. Just how you got Ras Elase in the Leo constellation. Which Ras Elase not the main star in that constellation, is Regulus, but the head of the serpent bearer. As a matter of fact, again, shout out to Dolo, where I heard him speak of it, in which, again, confirmation, because when I was bringing it up in these elder videos, I felt like, I know this is gonna be a zodiac sign that we're gonna be dealing with, because with any of the information I was dealing with throughout my growth, I always been clear enough to be led to the truth. Now with certain subconscious programmings and stuff that I still probably hadn't fully worked out, it may have had me dealing with the information in a way where I wasn't all the way fully accurate, you know what I'm saying? But again, and that's a part of the growth too, to deal with things and realize, like, oh, all right, dang, it was more like this, like, and realizing too, now when I'm dealing with certain channels, to really sit with it and, like, all right, catch the vibe. And of course I still again have like think fast videos, things of this nature, but but the Ophiuchus, again, also connected with the Kundalini, Emotep, the healer, and also said to be in the area that's the center of the galaxy as well. And then, because matter of fact, on the elliptical, it's 180 degrees away from Orion, so right, across from Orion. Orion got that is Canis Major, Sirius, Set, or Sothis. Because that's, again, all these stories in mythology is stories of how, how things moved in the cosmos. Matter of fact, come across this brethren, what's the name? I always like to make sure I give the references. Something Miller, but basically bringing up how, again, throughout time, we see this vibe of like something catastrophic happen, and basically like seeing that catastrophic situation caused, like, most of the ancients, like, from that moment on, like, all right, we got to keep track of this time, so we could see when this certain moment come back around, because when this moment come back around, this energy, this paradigm shift, will, be ready and, at being prepared for it, because again, with the history of astrology too, is no evidence of humans practicing astrology or astronomy before 8000 BC. And the eldest aspect of, again, zodiac signs, or dealing with that, is the temple at Denderah, the temple in Egypt. And it basically has, like, it's called a Zodiac of Denderah, which part, the real little cylinder or little painting got taken, and is somewhere in I want to say it got taken in 1798 by dealing with Napoleon and the French people, but they end up taking it. But pictured on the Zodiac of Denderah, you got the zodiac signs, kind of placed around, and you see the scarab beetle, or the or the crab in the middle, because the scarab is the crab, as well. And the scarab beetle also represents, death and rebirth. That's why the scarab beetle was used as a representation, as like for the pharaohs, especially when they transitioned on their little coffins, the sarcophagus, you know, it had that scarab beetle on it. And another aspect I feel is kind of like a little download too, like where we go through vibes when we changing through these ages. There's more zodiac signs coming into existence. Because again, from this information and just feeling the vibe of it, like speaking on how like we didn't start in so many realms. Now, of course, these constellations, change areas in the sky every 2,000 years. But again, like from 8,000 BC, past that, it was never no record of us keeping up with astrology. Another thing too, because we were freshly from, that fallen state. It was real as not too long ago. Of course, we've been existing on this plane of existence for, for a nice while, so to speak. But say for instance, like not too long ago though, we were on a realm of like not even being humanoids, like kind of just freshly even coming to this realm. And again, seeding plants. Matter of fact, check out my videos on Lyra and the Lyran beings, and talking about seeding life on this realm of existence. Because also the story of like energies and how they move, like the Solomon's temple, and that story of Jubilee, and I forgot all the different names, but coming in to kill Hiram Abiff, quote unquote Hiram Abiff, the master mason building Solomon's temple, but these also connected with the different, matter of fact, like that's why these little symbols are important. Like as far as like the Aquarius, the man, the eagle, the scorpion or Scorpio, the lion, Leo, and the Taurus is the bull is Taurus. The same thing on here. But these are the fixated energies, or the fixated signs, and basically fixated in certain elements. Aquarius fixated air, Scorpio fixated water, Taurus fixated earth, and Leo fixated fire, meaning that fixed the, like, of course you got the cardinal signs, but these are the fixed energies, like really embodying those elements. And also another aspect, again, we dealing with a personification of energies, that then move from the higher dimensions down into a physical experience, like and what aspect I was about to speak on. Coming down into the physical experience, energy movement. Oh yeah, because matter of fact, from my DMT trips and just in general psychedelic journey, but more so like my DMT trips, because those really take you into that realm of the let's just say out of the non-physical, because again, in the true essence of it, that's just like we use the terminology non-physical, but I mean the non-physical realm is physical as well, because again I was feeling it, what I'm saying, so it has to have some type of physicality in essence. But where I got to see that when we were back in that godly stage, and I say like, again, we're on the human experience, but like when we wasn't in these human bodies, and in the higher dimensions, like as soon as a feeling or whatever happens, it's instantaneously, and it echoes out, because again we dealing with water, you know. And in water, you know what I'm saying, that little one drop, and then those waves spread out. And once something you know, like I don't know if I spoke on it in another video, but like the energy of jealousy, like, you know, the moment that a being, you know, felt jealousy for the first time, jealousy actually became an energy of consciousness itself, and instantaneous. Like, because another thing too is no taking back energy. You know, it's like you realize, like, whatever you feeling, especially like again, like with psychedelics, you know, like whatever you feeling, it comes instantly, and there's no taking it back. You know, like if I'm feeling uh you know, the feeling of guilt comes upon me, you know, then bam, that guilt is activated. It's no like, oh wait, hold on, I'm trying to take that back. You know, it's like, nah, and more so, like, so say for instance, like the universe acts upon, that's what I want to say too, is like when you have that first, again, like that energy of jealousy for the first time, once it comes into existence, then it continuously echoes, you know, in different forms, you know, and may evolve, and again, and it becomes a level of consciousness, and then it becomes embodied in say for instance like a constellation, or you know, because there could be, you know, like a negative aspect of a certain constellation to be jealousy. But again, these different energies just comes from consciousness dealing with itself, you know, that energy of the primordial mother Sophia Pistis, you know, that energy coming down, you know, like matter of fact in the tree of life, you know, coming down the Sephiroth, separating itself from the one in order to have experience. And then, you know, we take it to explain things on the 3D realm, be like, oh yeah, and that was the devil, and this was Jesus, and this and that, you know, which of course some people doing the bullshit to lose people further. But you know, like we deal with these terminologies and these stories, you know, to re-remember and realizing that again, it's the personifications of higher energies. But like again, how I was feeling, like, you know, there'll be more zodiac signs to come into existence, you know, because I remember Dolo saying something about that, about Ophiuchus having to grow into a full 30 degrees before it's considered a zodiac constellation, and that may come into play like 30 to 40 years from now, you know. But yet, you know, again, some of us may be like on the Ophiuchus vibe of like, oh yeah, right now, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I feel like a lot of, like, again, the way I present my videos is that like Papa Legba vibe, like, you know, like, hey, I don't, you know, no matter what. Because another thing too is like we deal with zodiac signs and those energies in order to, you know, like learn about ourselves, you know, like learn what energy is embodied, you know, within our physical being, you know, and more so learning what energies to grow away from. And it, like, you know, it's like, again, the 12 disciples or the 12 disciplines, you know, and turn into that number 13, or that Christ energy, you know, and also that Kundalini, you know, the Kundalini Christ energy, you know, number 13. And you think about number 13, it comes into the number 4, you know, doing numerology, 3 plus 1 is 4, and back to the foundation, and pointing to, you know, because again, and this could even speak to right here, you know, like the mother energy, you know what I'm saying, in the circle. And this kind of look like you know, like a little snake to a certain extent too, you know, a little hint hint wink wink. And with the 4 energies, you know, the foundation, you know, because you also have the foundational angels of you know, matter of fact, again, shout out to the brethren, but Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, and I think Raphael. But all these different energies are connected with these you know, again, zodiac signs or constellations, you know, but it's consciousness. You know, these are stories of consciousness, you know, moving down into the physical realm, you know, and things playing out on the physical level. You know, like all these different wars and stuff on the physical realm have to deal with the stuff that played out on the non-physical realm, you know, in essence previously on the higher dimensions. You know, but seeing a correlation of connection again with the 13, you know, embodiment of Christ energy, again the Kundalini raising up. And matter of fact, I want to get into a few of the Greek mythology stories as well. But you see, also in the Mayan astrology, they deal with 13 galactical tones. You know, 13 moons or 13 months of synchronicity. You know, so you see a little connection with 13 in the Mayan calendar, or dealing with the Mayan zodiac as well. 'Cause that's another thing too. I'm seeing that, well, of course, you know, again, just things gonna be constantly evolving within, you know, within this galaxy, you know, and we're moving into a higher state of being, you know. So a lot of things will be changing. Now, of course, Ophiuchus connected with the Hercules constellations as well. But we're gonna get into a few little stories right quick. So let's see. Orion and Ophiuchus, speaking on those little constellation myths. And again, ancient mythology interchanges certain beings with certain characteristics, you know. So like, say for instance, the Baron Samedi energy. You know, Baron Samedi connected with Hecate. You know, connected with Hecate. Matter of fact, where's the tablet at? Hecate and Ceres, and Demeter. You know, yeah, Babalu Aye, Baron Samedi, Saint Lazarus, and Lazarus. You know, Saint Lazarus of Bethany. You know, had the little cane and had the little two dogs by him. You know, now Orion. So you see again these mixtures. Orion have, you know, the Canis Major. You know, the dog star right there, you know, under it, and that's considered like the two dogs at the hunter's foot. You know, Orion is the hunter. You know, he hunt. Matter of fact, got a big club. You know, and he on the hunt, and his dogs is you know, in essence that energy of Sirius, and also, you know, again that personified in the Orion Wars. Because matter of fact, Orion stand for Arion. You know, and that's connected again with the you know, with the reptilian energies, but again, not even getting deep into it on that level, but just seeing again how these are connections to ancient energies, you know. I'm trying to find Arion. Yep. Star system recognizes the Ari. They were called the Ari, which stood for overlord or master, you know. So they're dealing with the Orion's belt, and there's no coincidence, you know. Orion, you know, the pyramids of Giza is lined up with Orion's belt. You have the vibe of, matter of fact, thinking about it in Men in Black, where they had, you know, they placed the importance about, you know, the little cat, you know, or the like the little lion being a little cat, though the little feline having Orion's belt around its neck, you know, all these different correlations. But again, so before even getting into these vibes, and also too, most of your mythology dealing with the the Greek stories come from the Homeric hymns and the Hesiod theogony, which the Hesiod theogony is 700 BC, just to kind of give you a little reference point on that. But let me see. So speaking on Orion right now. Orion mythology. Orion, the son of the sea god Poseidon, and Uriel. Uriel. Yep. Poseidon. Matter of fact, can be connected with Typhon. Set Typhon, Tiamat, the Kundalini, or the Ophiuchus energy. But so again, Orion, the son of the sea god Poseidon, and Uriel, the daughter of King Minos of Crete. Homer's Odyssey described him as a tall and armed with, described him as tall and armed with an unbreakable bronze club. In another mythology, he fell in love with the Pleiades, the seven sisters, daughters of Atlas and Pleione. As he pursued them, Zeus scooped them up and placed them in the sky. And the Pleiades connected to the famous star system in the Taurus constellation, as well. Another story, Orion fell in love with Merope, Merope, the beautiful daughter of King Oriopion. after matter of fact, Aura. Make sure I'm saying it right. Oenopion. Oenopion. After having too much to drink, he tried to force himself on her. Talking about Orion. And Oenopion put Orion's eyes out and banished him from his land, the island of Chios. Hephaestus felt sorry for the blind Orion and offered one of his assistants to guide the hunter and act as his eyes. He eventually came across an oracle that told him if he went to the east toward the sunrise, his sight would be restored. And matter of fact, speaking of going to the east, all right. So going to the east, and the east may be connected with, again, the Taurus energy, because you got the east, the Taurus, Regulus, the north, Scorpio, the west, and Aquarius, the south. And you think about it too with the body. Aquarius is one of the furthest downward places. The area of the calf muscles. So you see those different correlations. So again, and correlating too back to the thing with the Pleiades, because the Pleiades connected to the Taurus constellation, and in this story they talk about to get his eyesight back, he eventually came across an oracle that told him if he went east toward the sunrise, his sight would be restored. In Sumerian mythology, the myth of Gilgamesh, Orion seen as the hero fighting the bull of heaven, represented by Taurus. So again, that energy of dealing with the bull. They called Orion Uru Anna, the light of heaven. And Taurus was called Good Anna, the bull of heaven. Orion was also correlated with Heracles or Hercules, and you see Orion connected with Hercules, and then the Ophiuchus energy in the constellation is connected with the Hercules constellations as well, or should I say star systems, but and basically the Greek astronomer Ptolemy was drawing that connection too with the bull and Hercules with Orion as well. Most myths about Orion deals with that from a scorpion sting. So again you see this connection with you know, with the Jesus story as well, and the scorpions thing is Judas, you know, because matter of fact, when the sun traveling down the elliptical, you know, before it gets into those dark days, you know, of night, you know, where it's like the three darkest days of the year is the December 21st, right before the sun, you know, is born, you know. But, you know, Scorpio, that fixated water sign, you know, going into that kiss of death, like, you know, seen as betraying the sun, you know. Because there's also, again, different connections to Ra as well. Because on the serpent side, so, you know, again, because it was said that Orion, after being killed, you know, incarnated on this other side as the healer, you know. And you'll see another correlation of that as well. But, you know, again, that's considered the boat of Ra. And and I think it is depicted too, like in the Zodiac of Denderah, you know, the picture or the basically the hieroglyphic structure, stone structure, because again it's like a stone structure in a temple, but it was the actual one was taken out by the French. But you know, you see that correlation again with Orion with the scorpions thing, but also again and seeing Ophiuchus, you know, being right in the middle, you know, by that right by Antares in the Scorpio constellation. And the Scorpio constellation is in essence connected with Ophiuchus, you know, because Ophiuchus, you know, when you think about death and rebirth and healing, you know, it's like you got to go into those depths. And matter of fact, in tarot cards, you know, death, you know, that and that white horse, you know, representing that change, you know, like the four horsemen. You know, these also connected with the four fixated signs. You know, matter of fact, and again, this paradigm shift we dealing with in these times. But so back to the point, Orion dealing with the death from a scorpion, you know, in most stories. In one story, Orion boasted to goddess Artemis and her mother Leto that he could kill any beast on earth. Earth goddess heard him and sent a scorpion to sting the giant to death. You know, in another story, he tried to force himself on Artemis, so she sent the Scorpio to kill him. You see, twice he tried to force himself on somebody in a story. You know, and we think about the story of, you know, the Orion Empire, or what turned into Orion or Aryan Empire, you know, trying to force themselves on the rest of the solar system, you know, like trying to take over these certain little spots, you know, these certain little areas in the solar system. So, you know, that's connected again with Orion trying to force itself onto these energies. You know, that's like that same connection. Orion and the Scorpion were placed on opposite sides of the sky so that when the constellation Scorpius rises in the sky, Orion sets below the horizon in the west, fleeing from the Scorpion. You know, and again, Orion is said to, you know, be a resurrection. Or Ophiuchus is a resurrection of Orion. You know, and also let's see. Another story, but without a scorpion involved, Artemis fell in love with Orion, but Artemis' brother Apollo, which is the god of like the sun basically. So you see again this connection with Ra. You know, her brother Apollo didn't want her to give up her virginity, so he tricked her into shooting Orion with her arrow. Apollo dared her to hit a small target in the distance, but she didn't know it was Orion, who was enjoying a swim, you know, in those waters. And being hurt by his death, she placed him amongst the stars. And you see that correlation too, like Zeus and all, like, you know, killing somebody, oh, you're gonna put him in the stars, you know. kind of like, you know, in Hollywood kind of play out that like where they cause people to transition, but let's give them a Hollywood star. Let's kind of make them famous after we killed them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of that Zeus energy, you know, correlation right there. You know, and Zeus energy kind of correlates both to Enki and Enlil, because again, these personification of energies, and as it passed through different languages and different people dealing with it, you know, these different names and stories kind of switch up, you know. But and I don't have my Orisha book with me, but you know, again, these stories, but just getting to, you know, you get the point, you know, as far as like, again, all these different stories personifying uh energies, you know, conscious higher intelligence in essence, or our, you know, God self, you know, because again, we are those energies in human bodies, and there's just different levels to it. Like some of us might be just certain stars from a certain constellation, or some of us might be an embodiment of a bigger constellation or a bigger star system, you know, or certain planets, or you know, it's all kind of different you know, energies. Now in South Africa, Orion's belt is known as Drie Konings, or Dry Konings, Drie, and that's the three kings. Also known as the Dry Sisters, or the three sisters. And I felt a vibe of like, you know, that being connected to Hecate again, you know, because Orion, again, with the dogs at his feet, you know, it's connected to Babaluaye, and Babaluaye is connected to Hecate. And check out my video on Hecate and Demeter. I got a video on that situation, so you could go deeper into that. But Hecate, the triple goddess energy, could be correlated to, you know, again, in Orion's belt, again, the three wise men before Christ was born, you know what I'm saying? And again, y'all already know the spiel with that. But just so again, yep, the Orion's belt, because you know you got the whole constellation of Orion, but then you got the three, again, the belt. That's the belt right there. And one of them happened to be a nebula, you know, a star nebula where stars are growing out of. Matter of fact, you see too, like Taurus right there. So like the stories of Orion, you know, fighting the bull. You know, got the twins behind him, Gemini. You know, it's all, you know, different stories of the cosmos playing out on the physical plane. The Babylonians knew Orion as Mul Sipa Zi Anna, and it was known as the heavenly shepherd, or the true shepherd of Anu. You know. And Kemetic Egyptians associated with Osiris, the god of death, afterlife, and rebirth. So, you know, again, Osiris connected with that afterlife and rebirth vibe, and also the scarab beetle, you know, in which when you go into, no matter of fact, because it's another, like, tapping in, it's not my book, but I've been skimming through it, the Book of the Dead, the Papyrus of Annie, Sir E.A. Wallace Budge. But, you know, this breaks down, you know, a lot of, like, hieroglyphs and, you know, different stories. One man's god is another man's devil. Remember, Osiris became like the king god or whatever after they kick, you know, after kicking Set to the side. You know, because Set was, you know, again, that god that was like pre-dynastically, you know, it was about dealing with Set, you know, and that extension from the primordial mother energy. But then it became more of a solar thing, and more again like that Yahweh or Adalabroth, or you know, Lucifer energy, you know. And again, this is not Lucifer is bad and Christ is good. Like, for one, both energies are one and the same in that sense. And the again, it's just a part of our physical experience, like that's why the Lucifer energy also considered the scapegoat. Like, like, hey, we gotta, God is everything, but we gotta have somebody to blame. You know what I'm saying? Not say have somebody to blame, but that's where that energy comes from. That that statement. But you see in this picture right here, I got the scarab beetle. Whether you can see this is the sun or the moon. They're being held up too in the boat. And over here is you got Newt, Sky God. But again, all these correlations are across the board. Shu, God of air. And then when you break down Christ's name in gematria, it come out to 888. And the 888, or 8 in general, connected with oxygen on the periodic table. Just like in the Bible, speaking at first was the Word, and the Word is God. Well, it's 26 letters in the alphabet, and those 26 letters, also correlated to, again at the beginning, because the beginning is Aries, the head, you know what I'm saying, that the Lamb of God, the first person, Lamb of God, take away the sins of the world. But that Aries energy, also connected to the the cerebral spinal cord, the brain and the cerebral energy. But the brain is also connected to the spine. And if you ever seen a picture of the brain connected to the spine, it looks like a sperm, and the sperm is considered solar phallic energy. So again, point right back to the sun. And as above, so below, the parts the whole aspect of being is in all of the parts, you know what I'm saying? But not getting too far off right there. But again, the connection with Osiris and afterlife and rebirth, the scarab or the crab, and again the temple, the Zodiac of Denderah, where they have like the scarab beetle in the middle and dealing with the crab. And also in ancient stories where the crab did represent that Christ energy, or like that energy of ascension and being connected, because the crab in essence, like being on the beach or in the water, like in between the the ebb and flow of the waves, it got water element, earth element, the air element, and then the fire from the sun, you know what I'm saying? And it's basically saying it's connected to basically those 4 fixated signs as well, but more so just connected to those 4 elements and not really those actual signs, in general. Again, it's different layers to this information. So in one story you hear Orion doing one thing, that may correlate to a certain god in the Kemetic pantheon, and then Orion, same person Orion, or same energy Orion, doing something else in another story that correlates to a whole different god in another pantheon, or or another god within the same pantheon, within the same pantheon of information. But the pharaohs were believed to be transformed into Osiris after death. So to make the transition easier, the air shaft in the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid was aligned with the star Alnitak, Zeta Orionis, and those two were the most eastern stars within the belt. And again, not remembering the connection with Orion's belt with the Giza Plateau. The 3 wise men in the Christ story. It's all connected. Now, getting into Ophiuchus, with Ophiuchus mythology. Again, located in the southern hemisphere. And again, we talk about the southern hemisphere. That's like, close to the Aquarius area, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The south, the calf muscles. Because two, as above, so below, the zodiac signs are embodied within us, like the kneecap area, Capricorn, the feet is Pisces, calf muscles, that area, Aquarius. And I'm generally speaking because it's more than one body part for some of them, but the general areas, thigh, Sagittarius. And think about it, thigh, Sagittarius, Scorpio, like the sexual area and energy, and look at how Ophiuchus is considered to be, again, the snake bearer, the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy is situated where? In the root chakra. The root chakra is like basically like in essence, in between, it was that area of the genitalia in essence. But if you think about it in the sense of like how a woman ovaries sit like kind of over, the genitalia area, or a man's prostate, or whatever sits kind of like higher than his actual penis, you know, uh, it basically shows how still like Ophiuchus kind of again in between, matter of fact, and in the correlation too, like in between, but also kind of still closer to that genitalia area, Scorpio. But Ophiuchus belongs to the Hercules families of constellations, along with Aquila, Ira, Centaurus, Corona Australis, Corvus, Crater, Crux, and Crux. That one kind. Because when we talk about Kundalini raising up, and it getting to the medulla area, crucifying the energy of Crux, like crucifying the crucifixion, the Crux. But also the constellation Cygnus, Hercules, Hydra, so seeing the Hydra, connected with Tiamat. Matter of fact, go check out my video on snakes on a plane, or any video with Primordial Mother in the title. Would draw some correlation. Also got a video on Freya and Frigg and Freda, and Friday, like that connection, like cause all this, because again, me being myself, comfortable, and I sometimes I get verbose, and I like to just get into all these different aspects and lay it out, in this format. Again, being uniquely myself. I'm not here to do it like nobody else do it. Of course, if I happen to do it, like somebody else or whatever, that's just in the line of me being me. But again, just I'm just doing it the way the way I vibe with it, breaking it down like this. Because again, for myself, I like drawing all the correlations within everything, with all this information, because that's what stops a person from being lost in, oh, it's about Krishna, or it's about Osiris. No, it's about Jesus. It's all personifications of situations that happen in the higher dimensions, or aka in the stars, in the star system, and it's trickled down into this physical realm, because things on higher dimensions happen quicker than in the physical realm. You know what I'm saying? So it's trickling down to this aspect. But again, the family of Hercules constellations. It belongs in the Hercules family constellations, along with Aquila, Ara, Centaurus, Corona Australis, Corvus, Crater, Crux, Cygnus, Hercules, Hydra, Lupus, Lyra, Sagittarius, Scutum, Sextans, Serpens, Triangulum, Austrate, and Vulpecula. But Ophiuchus is mostly associated with Asclepius, Asclepius, the son of Apollo. So Ophiuchus is considered the son of Apollo. And over here in this Orion story, you remember Orion fell in love with Artemis and her brother Apollo, which happens to be again, the father of Ophiuchus in so many ways, and indirectly, speaking to the Ra energy, and Ra also speaks to again that Ram energy, Aries, 'cause the pioneer shines like a sun, and that's another thing too, dealing with our internal sun and not having to go outwardly, to deal, but uh, so again. Ophiuchus is most associated with Asclepius, the son of Apollo, who had the ability to raise people back from the dead with his healing powers. And two, I think about the mummy movie, that first little mummy movie with Emotep, where it's all about raising Emotep from the dead, but which they had some programming which they was trying to throw us off in there, but for the most part, speaking to that vibe again, where because the Orion energy, and matter of fact, Orion being connected to Babalu Aye and Baron Samedi in the in Santa, well, in Yoruba, in the voodoo, energy, and that Baron Samedi is known to sit in the graveyard, with Gede, but they like watch over the cemetery and the graveyards, or the underworld in essence. You know what I'm saying? So you see that connection again. But yeah, he's able to raise people from the dead with his healing powers, and that's back also to again. So Baron Samedi also connected to Lazarus, and then the story with Jesus and Lazarus in the Bible, where Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, where Lazarus was dead, and he ended up raising Lazarus from the dead. So you see again, in the Ophiuchus energy, they call it the 13 sign, but but regardless whether regardless of it being a sign or not just yet, what I'm saying, but connecting with that 13 energy and the Kundalini, again, because as the Kundalini, rising, allowing for that Christ seed all to rise within. But that's a connection again, with raising people from the dead, and also a connection with Osiris, because Osiris, that's connected with Orion, in Osiris story, he was chopped into many little pieces and got raised from the dead, with this a picture of this in this book called the Book of the Dead, but Asar and Aset, Aset is Isis, Asar is Osiris. You see Aset being the female vibe, and her last part of her name Set, and Set being from the primordial mother, so seeing those connections. Matter of fact, Set also connected with Saltis, which is Sirius, or the dog stars, so with that energy, again, raising wait, where I come? Oh yeah, the dog star connected with Orion and the dogs at his feet, just like Lazarus. So you're seeing like the Ophiuchus Orion. So, and reason why I'm doing this too, to show you like my intuitive evidence, like, cause you like what I like about me just going with the flow of certain inner gnosis and combining certain information is like people get to see like that even with me not getting deep into the information at first, seeing how much I was close, close to being, very accurate with connecting with certain information and energies, and why I've been dealing with, like a lot of my videos, like primordial mother, Set, Kundalini, yeah. Like it all makes sense, and you see all these different correlations, and the beings that I always talk about being connected with, what I'm saying, like as far as being a Papa Legba energy, but also, in a strong connection with the Baron Samedi energy, or Babalu Aye energy as well. But so as Asclepius, if I'm saying it right, learn how to heal others, seeing one snake. So another thing, Asclepius learned how to heal heal after seeing one snake bringing healing herbs to the other. And that's basically a personification, again, the Kundalini, Shiva and Shakti, the two snakes, the two serpents, which got one of the little serpents on this card. I think the wheel deals with Jupiter, if I'm not mistaken. And it has and matter of fact, and speaking of tarot breaks down into the word care. Matter of fact, that's why Bohemian Grove, they do the cremation of care, the cremation of Isis, and that's why they tried to turn that group name, that whatever. Matter of fact, I ain't even getting to that. That's why. But in the tarot cards, again, got the embodiment. Basically, the tarot deck itself is kind of the microcosm of like how things, like that mother energy, that primordial mother energy is kind of like that basis of our existence in essence. It's like how all the cards exist within the realm of being called a tarot card or Isis cards. So the magician, the card of death, the world, like all these different zodiacs and all this, and the tree of life connections all falls under the energy of, Isis in essence. So see that connection as well. But again, Asclepius learned how to heal after seeing one snake bringing healing herbs to the other. This happened when Glaucus, the son of King Minos of Crete, fell into a jar of honey and drowned. And I think of a jar of honey that might have some connection with Oshun story, you know what I'm saying? But again, Asclepius saw a snake slithering towards Glaucus' body and killed it. After he killed it, then another snake came along and placed the herb on the first snake that was killed. And that first snake that was killed miraculously came back to life. And after seeing this, he placed the same herb on Glaucus' body and he was resurrected. Basically seeing the power of the Kundalini energy. Like once he saw that balance of the one snake reviving the other, or those snakes moving in a balance, is able to heal and resurrect, bring people from the dead, if we activating our inner energies, or because another thing too, they were always activated, in essence from birth, but along the lines of getting lost in all this other information and not dealing with it, we wasn't actively, consciously dealing with, raising our consciousness and energies within ourselves. But again, seeing that correlation with the Kundalini. Asclepius was raised by Chiron, the wise centaur associated with Centaurus constellation, who taught him the art of healing. Another myth, Athene, the goddess, gave him the blood of the Gorgon Medusa. Another correlation, Medusa, the primordial energy of the Kundalini, And so in this myth, Athene gave him the blood of the Gorgon Medusa. The blood from the veins on her left side, or the logical or Shiva side, masculine side, was considered poison. But the blood from her right side, the veins on her right side was, again, intuition, Shakti, feminine energy, was able to bring people back to life. You know what I'm saying? We see that again with the over personification of the masculine energy, with all this solar phallic light, this, again, whether it's Lucifer, or the Christ, two phalluses form a cross, the cross that Christ was crucified on. And he had the positive and the negative energy on side of him, with the two other people getting crucified at the same time. It also could be seen as the past and the future and being in the moment. In another tale, Asclepius resurrected Theseus, the son of Hippolytus, after he was thrown from a chariot. And, I call it a vibe where, the chariot, our Merkaba, the Merkaba, the star tetrahedron, are on a flat surface. It look like the Star of David, but, the Merkaba is, a vehicle or a chariot of our, for our soul. And in essence, it's spinning, encasing our, our light body in essence, In this version of the myth, Hippolytus is associated with Auriga, constellation of the charioteer. Now, Asclepius was killed by Zeus because he feared that all humans would become immortal due to the healing abilities of Asclepius. So again, that jealous, like being jealous of the humans, that's kind of like that Enlil vibe, again, like in different stories, So in the Greek pantheon, they just have Zeus representing both Enki and Enlil, but in Samaria or Babylon, it's Enki and Enlil, you know what I'm saying, instead of, speaking of it as one energy. But so yeah, Zeus let's see. Yeah, Zeus killed them, and basically it was because Hades, which is the brother of Zeus, god of the underworld, was concerned that the underworld would dry up due to the healing of Asclepius. And you see, again, kind of story of balance too, in essence. You know what I'm saying? It's like, of course, like the energy of Zeus being jealous and kind of, again, there's no good or bad or necessarily evil, but it's definitely an energy that's how I say, looking to be unbeneficial towards soul ascension in essence. But again, that's that contrast we ask for in this experience, But yeah, basically Hades was scared of the flow of souls coming in, being slowed down. So he was like, bro, Zeus, we gotta kill this brother, But he complained to Zeus, so he killed him with a lightning bolt. And then Zeus later placed Asclepius' image in the sky to honor his gifts and good deeds. And that healer became Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. As a matter of fact, Marduk also is like an aspect of Zeus. Marduk from the Babylon or Sumerian text. Because Marduk killed Tiamat. And again, I speak on that in my video on the primordial mother, but more so the snakes on the plane video. I kind of go deep into Tiamat and the serpent analogies, even like with Apep, the serpent. Again, one man's God is another man's devil, because when instead of Set was the again pre-dynastic God that people were really dealing with. The energies were dealing with that, and then later it come down to Ra, or the sun worship, or again like that, because also too that Papa Legba energy, again walking both lines, also considered it's the solar phallic light, and that energy as well, but again, because anybody, like being a star being or whatever, we all in some way, form, or fashion, and could in connection with Lucifer just by being here in a bodysuit. You know what I'm saying? Like let's see, because you think about Lucifer, and you also think about the archangels as well. Dealing with when I think about Enochian magic. I gotta find this right quick. But like we talk about Enochian magic, and too, just with the eyes. Matter of fact, it's a symbol that John D used. Is connected with Enochian magic. And Enoch, was the prophet that got to talk to the you know, was sitting there talking to the archangels and learning about these times, learning about the chakras and the, you know, the different zodiac wheels. Cause matter of fact, dealing with the chakra aspect, uh what it was. Like when Enoch was in that underworld and he asked like, "What's those 7 mountains over there?" And one of the angels was like, you know, that's a place where certain souls kind of like serving out their punishment, and it was like they have not come forth to the at their appointed times, you know, meaning like, you know, like say for instance like us dealing with this paradigm shift right now, you know what I'm saying, like coming forth at the appointed time, you know what I'm saying, and doing what we got to do so we could get out of jail, you know. Because matter of fact, like I think about right now, this paradigm shift is like earth angels or angels in general, or just, you know, different aspects of, you know, source and different gods, you know, or the titans, you know, locked up by Zeus. But these you know, we are like we're on parole in this paradigm shift, and the paradigm shift is like a parole hearing, you know, and we state in our case with our actions, you know. You're familiar with parole, like when you locked up and you get a chance to get an early leave due to, you know, whatever good behavior, this and that. But it's like the paradigm shift itself is like for all of us, it's like, all right, this is our parole here, basically, you know what I'm saying? And two, the analogy too, again, man, shout out to Archangel Uriel, because I remember coming across something he spoke on, you know, having his wings clipped, you know, and coming down here on this earthly plane. I remember a few visualizations, like, you know, visualizing and feeling like I had wings, and like actually could feel how it feel to flap, like to have wings flapping behind me on some type of level, you know, which that's also kind of in connection with the Merkaba as well. But you know, again, you know, like we on parole in essence in this paradigm shift, and you know, releasing karma, and karma basically is cause and effect, you know what I'm saying, for whatever actions we took in the past, you know, had a certain effect, you know, and got us dealing with certain energies right now, you know. But you see that book of Enoch again and connected with the site, and I got like, you know, in which there's a symbol that stands like, I think one of the Luciferian churches use, but it's a symbol with Lucifer, or that connected with Lucifer, and it's basically like the way the eyes and visualize light, you know, but which is like in visualizing the illusion in that sense, you know, like this physical realm, you know, is all basically. And check out my video about being on a movie set. You know, if you type in Universal Frequencies movie set, it should pop up. But you know, that's correlated as well. But I'm gonna stop right here, and whatever else, you know, whatever other information I want to add, I'm gonna just do a second video, because I'm you know, definitely. But I knew this one. I'm like, I'm breaking it down enough to where no matter how long it is, I know it's gonna be a video that's gonna be very interesting. And again, just wanting to show these different correlations of energies and stories, and again showing that connection, that, you know, all these different divination systems and stuff too, you know, like dealing with astrology, the tarot cards, you know, the tree of life, you know, like it's all interconnected, like numerology and how, you know, numbers play a part, you know, because speaking on, you know, Ophiuchus connected with the number 13, adding up to 4, 4 is the foundation, you know. But it's you know, again, it's a correlation of being guided, because, you know, a lot of things I get incited on just straight up clear cognizant thoughts, and then a lot of time I'm just following my intuition, and it's leading me towards certain information. But when I come across it, you know, because of my clear cognizant abilities and being intuitive, as I'm listening to certain information, I could feel a vibe of what I should take away from it and what I should leave, you know. Kind of like how I tell people to do with my videos, you know, deal with what resonate with you, leave what don't, you know what I'm saying. But peace, peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Preach, peace.